My eldest son, who was raised with difficulty in a single-parent family, is getting married. However, at the high-end restaurant where both families met, I was perplexed. On the fiancé's side, there were 3 seats arranged, but on our side, there was only one. What? There's only one seat. That's odd. I'll go talk to the staff. Hearing my mutter, my son was about to leave. His fiancée stopped him. Wait. It's okay, like this. Then, her mother snapped at me, who was just standing there. You don't need a proper seat, do you? While I was confused by what was said, her mother then smirked. The poor are suited for standing. Just stand in the corner all day today. The fiancée and her mother began to joyfully belittle me. Having a cleaner in the family, what an abominable thing. It's ridiculous for someone so poor to be in such a fancy restaurant. Exactly as Mom says. But poor people like her have never even been here, right? Let's at least allow her to have a look around. I had reached my limit of patience. I hadn't said anything until then because she was the person my son chose. But I could not stay silent after being insulted to this extent. Just as I was about to speak out, the door of the private room burst open. It was the fiancé's father who appeared. He was an acquaintance of mine. Oh, you're tired from work, aren't you? Just now, I told this out-of-place person. There's no seat for a poor person like you, just stand and watch. The fiancé's father stared at us intently. Then his face gradually turned pale. The women who had demeaned me to the fullest were about to lose everything. My name is Kelly Simpson. I recently celebrated my 60th birthday, but I'm still busy and work hectically every day. I have 2 sons. When they were in elementary school, my beloved husband died from an illness. My kind and family-loving husband. Having lost a major support, I was quite depressed at that time. My sons, despite feeling lonely themselves, encouraged me when I was down. Thus, I raised my sons alone. My eldest son, Robert, is 30 years old. After graduating from a prestigious university, he lives alone while working for a large corporation. He often visits me, and we have a good parent-child relationship. I thought, I'm glad he's doing well in society, but I wish he would start his own family soon. As a parent, I hesitated to intervene in his marriage, but I had gradually started to think about it. During one holiday, when I went to the shopping mall, I happened to run into Robert. And he was with a beautiful woman. Oh, Mom. What a coincidence. Oh, Robert. Meeting like this. And this lady? As I looked at the woman next to him, she greeted me. Could you be Robert's mother? Nice to meet you, I am Angela Morris. The woman, dressed in modern fashion, smiled at me. Yes, nice to meet you. Robert, a bit embarrassed, informed me. Angela and I are dating now. I was a bit surprised to learn that Robert had a girlfriend. I felt happy, though surprised a little. Robert later invited me to dinner, and Angela also agreed enthusiastically. Suddenly caught off guard, I ended up going to eat with them. We entered a restaurant in the mall, sat down, and ordered meals for 3. While waiting for the meals to arrive, Robert introduced Angela. She's 28 years old, 2 years younger than me, working at M-Bank. I see. You work at a respectable place. Yes, it's quite a hard work with a lot of responsibilities. Angela spoke with a hint of pride. Listening to her talk about her struggles, I nodded and praised her appropriately. Robert, you're fortunate to be dating such a wonderful person.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mom. Robert blushed. Then Angela seemed to notice something. By the way, where is Robert's father today? Oh, that. Robert, haven't you told her? Then my son explained to Angela. I should have mentioned it earlier. Our father passed away when I was in elementary school. Since then, it's been just mom raising us. Is that so? It was tough, but I'm grateful to mom. It must have been very difficult being a single mother. Angela's expression stiffened as she murmured that. Then Robert said he needed to use the restroom, leaving me alone with Angela for the first time. As the food was served but remained untouched, Angela spoke to me. Are you still working, ma'am? Yes. I'm still working. What kind of job do you have? I clean apartments. Well, it's kind of like being a superintendent. Oh, really? Angela's face noticeably clouded over. I wondered what her expression meant. Just then, Robert returned. Oh, the food is here. Sorry to keep you waiting. Let's eat. We started eating, but Angela barely opened her mouth. Thus, we parted ways without incident. 3 months later, Robert suddenly called me. Hello, Mom? I have something to report today. What's up, Robert? You remember Angela, whom we met before? I'm thinking about marrying her. Really? Congratulations. So, I want to arrange a meeting between our families. When would be good for you, Mom? Anytime is fine for me. Let me know when you've decided on a date. I discussed some arrangements with my son and then hung up. I thought, finally, Robert is getting married. What joyful news. I felt a bit lonely, but the happiness overwhelmed that feeling. Thus, the day of the family meeting arrived. My younger son was on an overseas assignment and couldn't come. So it was just Robert and me going. The venue was a high-end restaurant apparently reserved by Angela's family. I went to the restaurant with Robert, who had come to pick me up. A young waiter greeted us and led us to a reserved private room. As we opened the door, Angela and possibly her mother had already arrived. Nice to meet you. I'm Robert Simpson. I look forward to talking with you today. Nice to meet you. I'm Kelly, Robert's mother. I greeted while standing. Angela and her mother just looked me up and down without standing up. Angela, this is the person? Yes, Mom. They whispered to each other while glancing at each other. Hey, Angela, where is your father? Angela casually replied to his question. Oh, he got called into work last minute. It's tough being an elite banker. I see, okay. Robert and I were about to sit across from Angela and her mother. At that moment, I noticed something. What? There's only one seat. Although there were 3 chairs on Angela's side, there was only one on ours. That's odd. I'll go talk to the staff. Robert tried to leave, but Angela stopped him. Wait, Robert. It's okay, like this. Huh? Robert looked puzzled. Then, Angela's mother spoke harshly to me. You don't need a proper seat, do you? While I was confused by what was said, her mother then smirked. The poor are suited for standing. Just stand in the corner all day today. Excuse me, are you speaking to me? I couldn't help but ask. Robert said nothing, just standing there next to me. Are you asking if I'm talking to you? Yes, I am talking to you. Angela responded nonchalantly. Her expression was mean-spirited. Really, even though he works for a top company. It's annoying that he was raised by a single mother. Then, Angela's mother continued. I don't want my precious daughter marrying a man raised by a single mother. But since Angela wants to marry Robert, I came here reluctantly today. As I stood there stunned, Angela's mother loudly called over a waiter and rudely made an order. Hey, in addition to the course we reserved, can you make some with seafood? I want some shrimp and oysters. The waiter responded, looking troubled. Even if you ask so suddenly, we have other customers to consider. Angela's mother clicked her tongue. You know, the division head from Mbank is coming here soon. Can't you serve seafood even then? Well, seeing the waiter's confusion, I couldn't help but interject. The reserved course will be sufficient. Sorry. The waiter apologized repeatedly and went back. Then Angela's mother turned on me. Huh? Why are you butting in? You don't even have a portion. Is that so? There's no way we'd prepare a meal for someone standing. You should understand that by common sense. Angela's mother grumbled, and Angela smirked. I questioned them. Is this treatment because I raised my son in a single-parent home? Is that the only reason? Angela's mother glared at me sharply. Didn't you hear earlier? My husband is a division head at Mbank. Angela also works at Mbank. So basically, we are a family of elite bankers. Oh. And you think a daughter from such an elite family is saying she'll marry a man raised by a poor single mother? You should be saying thank you first. Then, Robert, who had been listening quietly, spoke up. Angela, are your mother and you really serious about this? Angela burst out laughing. What? Robert, why such a red face? Are you really getting angry? For such a shameful mother? Shameful mother. Well, this old lady here is just a cleaning lady in an apartment building, right? That means she's just a cleaner, right? Angela teased, and her mother exaggeratedly recoiled. Having a cleaner in the family is just horrific. It's ridiculous that such lowly poor people are here in this fancy restaurant. Exactly as Mom says. But poor people like her have never even been here, right? Let's at least allow her to have a look around. Right. Angela is so kind. Mother and daughter laughed together. Angela continued. Look, Robert, you sit down. The food is coming, let's start eating. However, Robert stared straight at the two and did not sit down. Angela then asked, annoyed. What? Are you really getting angry for such a person? Angela's mother also shouted out loud. See, this man also can't shake off his poor, single mother upbringing. Angela, are you sure about him? It's okay, we will teach him the elite way of life. First, we need to cut him off from his poverty-stricken mother. Yes, we need to fix his mommy issues. Angela and her mother laughed derisively. I had reached my limit. I hadn't said anything until then because she was the person my son chose. But I could not stay silent after being insulted to this extent. Just as I was about to speak out, the door of the private room burst open. Sorry, I'm late. Oh, haven't started yet? It was Angela's father who appeared. He was an acquaintance of mine. Oh dear, welcome back from work. I just told this out-of-place person. There's no seat for a poor person like you, just stand and watch. That's right, Dad. You wouldn't want a poor person raised by a single mother in the family, right? I was just teaching her about her place. Angela's father stared intently at us. Then his face gradually turned pale. Huh? Mrs. Simpson. Yes, that's correct. I nodded significantly. Mr. Morris from Mbank, it's unexpected to meet you here. Upon my response, Angela's father visibly began to tremble. His extraordinary reaction prompted Angela's mother to ask suspiciously. What? You know this poor person? Oh, I get it. This woman must have come to your bank for a loan, right? No way, Mom, someone as high up as Dad wouldn't deal with such lowly people. Silence. His shout silenced the room in an instant. Angela and her mother were taken aback. What's the matter, dear? This lady. Mrs. Simpson is a major client of our bank. What? At that moment, suddenly, the door opened again, and the owner of the restaurant appeared. Mrs. Simpson, I had no idea you were here. My apologies for the late greeting. Today, for your son's special occasion, we've prepared something special. In his hands was an incredibly lavish seafood combo. I spoke quietly. Thank you. I appreciate your service always. But please, serve that to the other guests. I'll pay for it. Realizing the tense atmosphere in our private room, the owner left with an awkward expression. Angela and her mother looked stunned. What? Dad, what did you say? A major client? And what was that conversation with the owner about? Like she's a regular at this fancy restaurant. Then Angela's father, pale-faced, muttered. You two have done something terrible. This lady is a famous landowner around here. What? She owns multiple high-rise apartments and buildings. And has dealings with our bank. In a barely audible voice, Angela's father informed them. Yes. I am indeed a wealthy landowner. Originally from a landowning family. I also inherited assets from my husband who ran a real estate company, making me quite affluent. I enjoy interacting with people and being active. So I manage cleaning and maintenance for my properties. But I have enough assets to live without working if I chose to. And it so happens that the bank where Angela's father and daughter work, M-Bank, is where I have deposited several 10 millions. Angela confronted her father. That's a lie. Because she's just a cleaner. Is it strange for the owner of an apartment building to manage their own property? At my question, Angela looked as if she was about to foam at the mouth. So. Robert is the son of a wealthy family? Angela's mother also voiced out with panic on her face. If that's the case, you should have said so sooner. I'll bring a chair right away, please have a seat, madam. No. There's no need to sit. It was Robert who spoke. What? Robert. What are you saying? We're going to get married, right? Angela's question was met with a loud voice from my son. Don't joke with me. After you've belittled my mother to that extent, there's no way I could marry someone like you. Usually calm, Robert was incredibly angry. Angela began to panic. But I've already told everyone I'm quitting my job for marriage. I don't care. The engagement is off. I can't be family with people like you. Don't leave me, Robert. Robert coldly shrugged off the clinging Angela. Angela's mother turned pale. I asked Robert quietly. Robert, are you sure about this? Of course, Mom. I'm sorry for the pain. Let's go home. Understood. I stood up with the support of Robert. Angela and her family were in a panic, unable to say anything. At last, I addressed Angela's father. Oh, by the way, Mr. Morris. Yes. I will be withdrawing all my deposits soon. I'm moving everything to another bank. Angela's father collapsed, knees buckling. Soon after, screams and shouts could be heard from the private room. But Robert and I silently left the restaurant. Later on, I withdrew my assets from M-Bank as I had declared. When the upper management of M-Bank hurried over and I explained the situation in detail, they were furious. Angela's father was demoted, and unable to bear it, he eventually resigned. Originally planning to retire upon marriage, Angela, with the engagement broken, ended up unemployed. Regretting the big fish she let slip, she apparently stalked Robert for a while. But it seems he had to issue a restraining order against her. Having lost both income and status, their lives have become quite difficult. They are people I'll never interact with again, so whatever becomes of them is of no concern to me. Afterward, Robert apologized to me many times, but it wasn't his fault, so I reassured him. He was down for a while, but recently, he seems to have regained his energy and is diligently focusing on his work. From here on, I plan to continue supporting him quietly, hoping he truly finds happiness.